Hi, good afternoon. Welcome back to the afternoon drive here at Gateway X, the virtual NMRA convention, coming to you from various places around the world. We've had a couple of good live clinics already this afternoon, a couple more planned before we hit the roundtable discussion at 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Right now, we're going to hear from Andy Ambrose, who's going to give us a chat on uh, imagine that layout design stuff. Andy's going to show us how layout can change its shape and entire nature over the years. Andy lives in UK, and apparently Milwaukee Road Pacific expansion has been brought back to life in the 1990s setting in Andy's HO layout, and it's in his office at his workplace. So it must be sweet to be able to have an office that allows you to have a layout in your workspace. So very understanding boss, or you work alone. So either one. But anyhow, Andy was going to talk to us. So Andy, if you want to start your screen share, and we'll get your clinic underway.
Good evening. Is that okay? You seeing that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're great, Andy.
Jolly good. Well, bit embarrassing to come on immediately behind Jerry with his bit on planning the layout, because it might appear as we go through that there's been very little planning with this one. Truth be told, though, there has been quite a bit of planning as we plan to add bits and pieces to it. Started off with a 12-foot by 20-inch logging layout based on Yosemite Valley. And at the time, I lived on a boat, which was not perhaps the easiest place to have a layout because the trains kept coming off the track, in a storm 10 or anything like that. But so moved it to the office. This was the original layout. It was 8 foot with 4-foot hidden sidings. Wasn't actually built by me. I saw it at a show and it was up for sale, and it had a digital setup with it, and the price of the digital setup was cheaper than I could go and buy one in a shop, so I bought the whole lot. And that was my first entry into modeling American outline. But as you'll see, I got rather hooked on American outline. The hidden sidings on it were very restrictive, so the first thing we did was phase 2 of it. I added another 4 foot to the fiddle yard. I bought some more stock and a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, the feeling. So we had to extend it. And it's one of those things, every time we built a bit, I had to extend it a bit more. And by this time I'd moved it into the office at work, and I was commuting to work from Poole Harbour in Dorset, a 3-hour drive each way. So I sort of had a fairly good boss, and we extended it a little bit more. As you can see, it's entirely made of foam. I don't know what you call it, polyfoam baseboards with a ply fascia and a very thin batten edging to fix the ply to. And the scenic structures are all made of foam as well. They're the spray can foam that you get for cavity wall insulation, which makes very good mountings. But one of the troubles with it is I forgot the expanding bit, so we had to come in the following morning and it expanded all over the track work. We had to cut it back again. We tended to do the extensions when the office was empty, for obvious reasons, and sometimes we didn't have a lot of material handy with the shops not open, so we used whatever we could excuse me, to do the backbone for the scenery. these two shots are bits of cardboard cut up to provide the base, and then the foam on top. We've now gone up to a 16-foot by 8-foot L shape, and we've got that track diagram which shows the hidden sidings to the left there, just serving the small station. It was still a logging layout, but it really wasn't big enough, you know, to run mainline diesels. And by now, I'd acquired another big boy and the SD90s and things like that. So the layout just had to be a bit bigger. That's it in its original L shape in the office. Then came phase 4, where we moved some of the office furniture about. That's the original bit on the right hand side there, and as you can see, we've extended with Cliff's Bridge and moved the sawmill into the center of the layout. And I don't know if you can see it, round the edge we've got a return loops, and then underneath these mountains we've got hidden sidings. You notice that I use copper tape for a lot of the wiring. It's good because it's very easy to do, but once you've covered it with scenery, it's difficult if you get a problem. This was what phase 4 ended up looking like. It stayed like that for a while until the following Christmas, but it was still very limited in operating fund because of the just total absence of significant staging. So we decided we'd go a bit bigger. That's the original sawmill with scenic down. You can, as you can imagine, a lot of the wiring, being copper tape, is underneath the scenery we've now stuck on top of it. But haven't had a lot of problems with it, touch wood. We were still a little bit limited on size, but I think we did, I don't know, we must have done about 20 exhibitions in that year with it. And you know, I'm more of an operator than I'm anything else, and it was very, very limited, just running out and back all the time. Especially once you start to buy more and more stock. So Cliff, who's one of our group, excuse me, decided we needed to put staging underneath the existing layout. So now we started on the second deck. I did ask the boss about it. He didn't mind, and he you know, he didn't really sort of say either way. But on one occasion, we had a visit from the VAT inspectors, and the VAT inspector happened to be a member of a model railway club from about 30 or 40 miles away. So instead of the tax people going through us with a fine-tooth comb, most of the 2 days he was there was spent playing trains, basically. And ever since that, I mean, he did look at a couple of invoices and things, but ever since that, my boss has taken a rather nicer view to my layout being in the office. But obviously it was no longer Yosemite Valley, so plans changed. So the next phase was to move into the Feather River Valley. So we've now got a mainline layout fed by the hidden sidings from underneath. At which stage Cliff built, you can see it in the right hand picture starting, a Y bridge based on the Feather River Valley Keddy Y. The front piece is not yet put up. You can see sections of that line on the top deck. but we've now gone to 2 decks. But Cliff, who cut and built most of the helix, I must have given him some wrong dimensions, because he ended up making it 3 level. So we've now got a triple deck layout. We've still got this blessed set of cupboards in the office, which prevented us from using the 4th wall. But this, what you can see at the moment, is the phase 5 U shape 2 level. This is the phase 5 moved on a bit. We've moved Jasmine's desk again so we can get a walk around. Jasmine is the Chief Operations Officer at our company, who I share an office with. And we've, well, she's had to put up with a lot, shall we say. So now we've got a 3-deck helix, and you can see the section with the fairground on in the background was actually lifted, and in the meantime at home I built the section to the left, which is Oakley's yard, intending to take the place of the filing cabinets and the tall cabinet. We've now covered 3 walls of the office and almost gone up to the roof with the upper deck. This, what you can see at the moment, is the 2nd deck, which was actually lifted to provide the next part of the top deck. We haven't actually installed Oakley's yard in the office yet. I've still got, well, it's up there, but it's not installed, because what happened was that became the 4th wall section of the middle deck, and in the meantime I built Brandy's aggregates modules which go above that in the office layout. Excuse me, coughing. During lockdown, I had to have something to do at home, and I had acquired a 5-foot exhibition layout from Andrew Smith, which was Dayton Heights, which is a sort of rundown city scene, small yard, which was really nice. And he'd just taken that off the exhibition circuit, so I bought that off him, and I thought that would be nice if I expanded that to form part of the upper deck. So come to death, I actually built 3 more 4-foot to 2-foot baseboards to go with it. Then I acquired another small layout called Maniotti Yard, which was from Andrew Griffiths from Basildon Club, another local club, which I acquired when he had to move house. He's moved out to Wales, I think. But because I wanted some overhead, we'd got to the position where it didn't fit with Feather River Valley, because that was never electrified. So after a big conversation on the NMRA Facebook group, I wanted to find a location where there was overhead electric and mountains. And of course, there's no mountains on the northeast corridor. So I thought it might have to be a different layout and a new layout. But no, we came up with an idea that was put to me of the Milwaukee Road Pacific extension. So studying lots of books and reading up on that, I thought, yeah, brilliant. We'll relocate the layout as the Pacific extension of the Milwaukee Road. So now this section here, that you can see the pictures, will form part of the upper deck. as you can see here in this, the top bit is the new Dayton Heights section. Maniota Yard to the right is a Canadian National Yard. Then I've got a refinery, which isn't built yet. I've got a lot of the structures and some of it built, but that's still waiting to be put together. And this has got to go into the office. We were going to put it in over the Easter holidays while the boss was away. So I don't know what he'll say about the lifting bridge going across the doorway and the fact that we've moved all the filing cabinets out and into the meeting room next door, but we shall see. As you can see, Brandy's Quarry, the top section there, is above Oakley's yard, and those two sections covering that wall have got to go in when I go back to work after lockdown. But just in case he doesn't like it, if anybody's got any vacancies, let me know. This is the upper deck of the Dayton Heights. You can see I've got more supports to go in there because we've got skyscrapers going on top of that lot. There's a F-59 PH sitting there waiting to move. But what I've done in my layout history now is I've effectively moved everything to become the Milwaukee Pacific extension. It's depicting the 1990s era. That's the plan anyway. And it will be an electrified line with quite a lot of passenger service to Seattle, Portland, the Empire Builder, Chicago, etc. And of course the heritage train, the Olympian High Whopper, which you've just got to have on any Milwaukee layout. But this section is in progress. To the left there, you can see the original Dayton Heights layout, a photo from when that was at an exhibition. And to the right, it's the Maniota Yard, which is the Canadian National Yard. And we're located theoretically around between Spokane and Seattle somewhere. Haven't really fully made my mind up on that. We're more freelance-ish than we are prototype, I suppose. Both of these layouts, if you lived in the southeast of England, you'd have probably seen most of my layout at shows here, there and everywhere, because we tend to take quite a few sections to shows. Both of these have been exhibited many times. Excuse me. There's masses of work left to do. All the overhead line equipment, I've got it on the first board to the left there, but I've still got to extend it through. We've got a substation to the right hand side there where the power for the overhead electric supply comes from. I'm wiring it up. I've unashamedly stolen Andrew Smith's concept of Dayton Heights, which was controlled by a dimmer switch, and the layout went from a day scene to a night scene by altering the dimmer switch, obviously, and ergo the name Dayton Heights was day to nights, which I thought was clever, so I nicked it. It's, you know, very much proto freelance. We've moved Amtrak west with their electric locos as well. It's now 11.5 kVA instead of 3000 volts DC. But it's very modern idiom from the point of view that it complies with the Greta Iceberg concept of conservation, because I think the whole of the Milwaukee Electric was actually driven by hydroelectric power, which is totally sustainable in this day and age. So that should be good. What we're doing now is we're concentrating on a number of different things at a time, none of which are finished, which is probably very typical of my modelling process. We've got train tracks RFID readers that I'm mounting, as you can see in the right hand picture there, and linking them through to JMRI. Although I don't run JMRI for signalling and points, etc., and routing. I'm running Railroad and Co, which is a bit of a problem because the two don't speak to each other. Although I have seen a layer on the internet that does actually front end JMRI with Railroad and Co. I'm not sure how he does that. I think it was Per Larson's layout that operate like that. But the control center, you can see on the left, the dispatcher's CTC panel has got JMRI on the left hand side, the operations section of JMRI, and the track diagram, etc., on the right hand side of the panel in Railroad & Co. But they don't speak to each other, which is a problem. I might move right over to JMRI or one of the other systems, not sure. I'm just not perhaps technically minded enough to understand the complexity of JMRI, which is obviously the most powerful program out there that I've seen, but I'm not as computer literate as I would like to be. But I'm using the RFID readers for the freight operations, but also for timings on the passenger trains and the passenger operations. And we're hoping to drive LCD LED screens on the layout so that the passenger trains will announce themselves as they arrive at the platform, you know, like you see at the main stations. But another thing that we haven't perfected yet. The other thing I'm doing is installing full signalling. This is a very, very slow job. I've been working on it for ages and still not got there. And the ultimate is fully remote operations using Wi-Fi cameras in the locomotives and some fixed CCTV cameras at certain points, so that the layout can actually be operated remotely. I was very inspired with Dave Avellis's operation of the Conrail's Onondaga cutoff, which, you know, you've got to look at. That is a fantastic operation, fantastic layout to start off with, but what he's done with that I think is brilliant. And I do believe that there's another chap somewhere out in the Atlantic Ocean who's planning a similar sort of operation. What's his name? Gordy. Yeah, Gordy. But we shall see who gets it done first. I've got a feeling probably Gordy will, because he seems to be able to do everything at once. But that's basically it. There is an RFID clinic on NMRX on the 18th of July at 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern Daylight Time, which will mean about lunchtime here. This is the crew. On the left, you've got Cliff and Albert, who are our Friday night fish and chip crew. We get together on a Friday night and have fish and chips and operate the layout and then take it out to exhibitions here, there and everywhere, where the exhibition organisers are not too embarrassed to see us, hopefully. And on the right hand side is Jasmine, who is the long-suffering person who's had her desk moved around so many times, has to find her papers every time we have a move. She does a marvellous job, bless her. And that's about me done. So I think I've finished well early. So I don't know, if there's any questions. How do I get out of this? There. I'm finished early, Bruce. Sorry about that. I did do the presentation before to some of our members, but it took a lot longer. But my apologies for that. So, if there's any questions?
I'm on mute. There we go. What works better? The first one is a comment. I'm assuming you know this person from Charlotte Ambrose who says, "Hi, Papa."
Yes, my daughter.
Excellent.
She's recently written an article about the layout in, I haven't got it to hand, but the British magazine, Roundhouse, in which she rather takes the mick out of me from start to finish of the article. But
Excellent.
yeah.
A question that somebody asked, I may have missed this, but what are the supports made of? He thinks he thought he saw one slide say concrete.
The supports for the upper deck of the layout are made of balsa wood,
Okay.
but they're meant to represent concrete.
Okay, so they're balsa wood painted to look like concrete. Okay.
Yeah. And the layout is held up by wall brackets and fold out trestles when we go out to an exhibition, because it is very light. I mean, you can lift 2 or 3 of the baseboards single-handed.
Okay, another question. Do you feel having a smaller layout allows you to work more on details in electrical projects such as RFID and JMRI remote controls?
Yeah, definitely the answer to that is yes, it would. But I don't know, I wanted mainline. I like the American long trains and things like that. So we can run perhaps 25, 30 wagons on a train. The helix we've done a little bit too steep, so we have to use helpers on that. Yeah, I would get on faster if I didn't have to work in the office as well. That is a bit of a bind that, going into the office, you have to work on it as well, which is, such a shame. I'd get much more done if I didn't have to do that.
Won't we all be that way? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have any problems with the local speed when reading the data from the RFID? And how many sensors do you have on the layout?
At the moment, I've got 12 sensors, 12 RFID readers, but I've also got the NCE BD20 block detectors and some dot devices, which are infrared detectors.
Okay.
But the readers, yes, you have got to travel over them at a reasonably slow speed for them to read. And that depends also on what you've got between the reader and everything else on there, sort of thing. But I've experimented with readers that we've bought locally from a local electronics place, but the train tracks readers that I've got now are far superior. They will read it from a sort of higher speed and with the tags a little bit higher than the other ones.
Okay. Somebody has asked the question.
Excuse me, coughing.
What are your future plans? More trains, more scenery, more layout?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that sums it up nicely.
I'm a bit of an impulse buyer.
That means you're a model railroader.
Yeah, I go to a show and I see something I like, and I've got to have a bit of layout that I can run it on. It's. I think I need us. We've got the whole bottom deck of that now is staging, and I can get about I think 12, 20, 25 foot long trains under there, and it's still not enough.
Okay, we have one. He says, I'm a modeler in southeast of England, modeling Washington states in various gauges. What inspired you to set it in Washington?
The NMRA Facebook group page, funnily enough. When I originally we were in Feather River Valley, which is further south in California, but I wanted the overhead electric, and the only place where that and mountains go together seemed to be the Milwaukee Road Pacific Extension. So that's what made me move to Washington State, and that's what made me move to Milwaukee Road. So consequently, all the UP locos I've got, and all the BNSF ones I've got to go in the cabinet, and I had to buy a whole load of Milwaukee ones to go with them.
Okay, well, fair enough. Like any model rotor or buying stuff you don't need, and then finding a way to use it.
Yeah.
Another question: could your layout help others to earn their dispatcher certificate in the achievement program? It says that seems to be a difficult one to earn in the UK. Ask Gordy, and there's been some discussion on this, but what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't have the AP certificate for operations, so I've never gone for any of the APs because I didn't really consider myself good enough when you look at some of the standards of the winning models. But it's quite possible, and I'd be quite happy to do that. But I'm also a member of the Thamesiders group, who operate the Essex Beltlines layout, and they have more regular. Sorry about my coughing. They have had operations meets themselves. So with a combination of the two, and we're only a few miles from each other, someone in the southeast of England should be able to get sorted with us if they want to get in touch.
Okay, Gordy's got a couple of questions. I have one final comment from the feed as Charlotte Ambrose again says, shout out to Granddad from the grandkids who are watching. XX.
Yeah, I've got two grandchildren, Isla, who's 6, and Oakley, who's 2. Isla has done some of the scenic work. The power station you saw, the substation, was built by Isla. And Oakley, the 2-year-old, he's absolutely train mad. He absolutely loves it.
Perfect. Get them interested young and keep them interested. That's the way to do it.
Oh yeah, he's straight in the magazines when they come through the door.
Okay, Mr. Gordy.
Gordy, questions from Gordy. Okay, so I was trying to get something finished for the roundtable just there, which I think will surprise you all at 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 10 o'clock for us. So Andy, your layout's gone through quite a lot of transitions. What would be the things that you would do differently if you were starting from scratch today?
Plan it.
And how would you go about planning it?
Well, it's sort of there's an aspect of this. I mean, probably a lot of model railroads have this. Was how big can I do it? And with a lot of people, it's how big will she allow me to do it? With me, it's how big what can I get away with the boss? You see, I did have a thought of drilling a hole in the wall and going through into the meeting room and the file storage room at work, but he put the block on that.
So do you live? You must live quite close to the office then. Now you're not still commuting from Dorset to
No,
the office.
I sold the yacht because I mean, I eventually did bring the yacht around to Malden, but I sold that because I was getting a bit old to run around and put up anchors and things like that. So the office was bigger than my room at home, so it had to be built in the office.
So, as this is a layout based in an office, and there are other employees there, have you
Yeah.
managed to rope any of those in to help with the layout?
Not really. What the layout has done though has brought a lot of model railway modelers and model railroaders out of the closet, so to speak. As I mentioned, the VAT man. But our bank manager, when he first visited us, he turned out to be a model railroader. And the magical effect that has had on our, bank's borrowing abilities and hassle letters is incredible. He's now a good friend and visits regularly, He may even be watching this tonight.
Fantastic. So what's the next phase?
The next phase is Wi-Fi. If you give me 1 sec, I'll have a look. I've probably got one handy. We've got these little cameras.
Uh-huh.
That's actually not a Wi-Fi one. That's a radio frequency one. Going in the fronts of locos. That one's going in the, I don't know if you can see it behind me there, the Amtrak ice that you questioned last night.
Yeah.
They ran the, before Acela, they ran for about 6 months on the Northeast Corridor. And then they toured America behind an F69 PHAC. Went to a number of different places. So that's that one. And I've got some that are even smaller. That, if you can see it,
Yeah.
is a Wi-Fi cam.
Wow. Where are you getting these from?
Off the internet.
Off the internet, off eBay, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, remote ops by September then, eh?
No, I think I'll be a little bit behind you on that one.
Let everyone have a little bit of behind the scenes of NMRAX, how things work round here.
Yeah.
He goes, what about this? Cool. And so, how many operators do you have when you have an operating session?
3.
Just 3 of you. And single man crews?
Yes, at the moment we're not very sophisticated in that direction. We have fun. I say 3. There can be as many as 8 of us up there sometimes. It's not a it's a Friday evening open house sort of thing, and people turn up, and we have other Thamesiders occasionally turn up, and it's just an easygoing evening,
So is your plan to never retire? What?
And my plan was to retire at 55.
How'd that work out for you?
I bought the boat, and I was going to sail the Pacific Ocean with the boat and go and visit the NMRA in Honolulu or wherever. In 2005. But the recession of 2005 forced me to maintain my position at work and to help keep my lovely children going and things like that. So I couldn't actually retire because the recession did give us a big hit at that time, especially the pension plans over here. You had the same with the 411s in America, I think, didn't they?
But 401s, yeah, 401ks, yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't really got any plans to retire. I'll just carry on.
What would you do with the layout?
Yeah, good question.
Do you think there should be more office-based model railroad?
I do, because I mean, I've seen the magic effect this has had on a lot of the visitors that we get to see us. I mean, we deal with, I mean, our company is a transport company. We run small bus services and things like that. And we deal a lot with county authorities, district councils, you know. And the ice-breaking effect that them coming into the office and seeing the layout is tremendous. It really is. And they all ask you, oh, can we see it running, you know? And then they're surprised that it's got sound and the digital aspects of it and, you know, the other little gadgetry that we use. I'm really sorry about this coughing. I hope I haven't got the...
Yeah, we hope you feel better by when your next clinic is.
I haven't got the dreaded lurgy.
Yeah, it's not, there's no modern slavery at NMRAX, but we just hope you're fully recovered in time for your next clinic.
When's my next clinic got to be?
I think it was. You said it was. I think it's Saturday. Your next one.
Is it?
Or is it? Or is no? There's a clinic on the RFID stuff on Saturday.
Yes, that's Colton Brown, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
was just stressing you out.
I think there's been some brilliant clinics. But I hope you realise you've cost me an awful lot of money. You keep sending off the stuff in America after it's been on the show.
Well, as long as people are getting benefit from what we're doing, then that's what makes it all worthwhile. So that's what we're here for.
Definitely benefits from it. I think it's sort of kept me sane because I've been locked down on my own for 3 months. You know, no one for health reasons.
Here's a question for Andy. Are you an NMRA member, and how long have you been an NMRA member?
Yes, I'm an NMRA member. I'm also a member of the NMRA local group Thamessiders, a brilliant bunch of people. And I've been a member only for about 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay.
And I found that to be really, really surprising because, you know, I've been in and around the model field for the whole of my life. I worked, when I was 16, I was working for Beatties, the model chain, W&H Models, and I'd never really had much dealings with the NMRA. But a friend said at the Chelmsford Club, says, come with us. And from there, it's all, you know, brilliant.
Excellent. Well done.
I've met some really nice people.
That's, I think everybody's met some nice people through the NMRA. That's the beauty of it.
Andy had a lovely trip to Aberdeen last year.
Yes. I think that was brilliant. I was so amazed that the bar never closed there.
Yeah, well, I was running the convention.
I think that was your fault, yes.
You can't have the bar closing. People might, you know, dehydrate.
Yeah.
So, anyway, thank you so much, Andy. I think we're gonna just to give Gordy a bit of time to get his project finished for the roundtable. We're gonna just stop this clinic there. Thank you very much for sharing your layout. I think that's gives some people some great inspiration for building in phases, acquiring different layouts. You know, not necessarily having a plan, but getting there in the end. I think it's a great story of your modelling, and we appreciate your company. Although the irony is not lost on us that having a model railroad inside the bus company offices. Hopefully, you're not providing rail replacement bus services, but you probably are, and so the irony is not lost on us. But we'll hopefully have you on a future NMRAX to give us another clinic, Andy. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Wish you good night.
Thanks a lot, Andy. Appreciate it.